Anything like the dramatic finale of the women's circuit race is going to be a belter. 50 minutes and 5 laps resulted in victory for Megan Barker of the Rapha Cycling Club. The second time in her career, just a few moments ago, that she has pulled on the British National Champions jersey in the criterium discipline. But for now, let's concentrate on the Elite Open, or the men's race effectively. 50 minutes and 5 laps. And we've got some red-hot favourites to look at as well. There's some interesting talent and a smattering of World Tour talent as well, dropping into the mix as the riders line up. And at 50 metres, they'll be called forward fairly soon, and then we'll get the racing underway here. Let's have a look while we wait to see the lineup of this peloton as to exactly what happened last year in the men's race.
Corners, and we've still got that double left-hander to come, but what a long pull on the front by Kurt here.
This is huge commitment from Björn Kurt on the front from Picnic Postinel. Perhaps he feels like he wants to try and lead things out. He wants to try and get the jump on Cameron Mason. He doesn't want to have to come from behind. Don't forget, Cam Mason knows what it's like to win an elite title at national level here. Kurt swings it into the first of the left-hand corner, out into the second left-hand corner, onto the seafront, and immediately he starts to wind things up. He starts to accelerate already onto the drops. He hooks the right-hand side of the barriers here. He's going long, and Cam Mason is slotted into the wheel. He's right on the wheel of Kurt. He takes a look round. It's going to be a sprint between these two.
It is. In the pole position is Cam Mason. He's on the wheel of Kurt. He continues to ride in front. The man from Leeds looks around, looks under his shoulder, he looks to the right. There's a glance from Mason. Mason just looks around, and he takes the title. Title number 2 for this year for Cam Mason. What a ride by these two out in front. And Cameron Mason, that's his 4th national title and his 1st on the road.
Yeah, Cam Mason, the cyclocross champion, is looking to add to his road tally, and he returns as the defending champion in this peloton and will start as one of the favourites with number 1 on his back. Hannah Walker is alongside me once again, having watched the women's race. Do you see this race playing out massively differently from the women's race, where a surprisingly large bunch came to the line?
It's really difficult to say. In this race, there's 70 riders. They were at maximum capacity with reserves because it was oversubscribed. This is a hotly contested national championship, as you can see there. Just sitting comfortably, looking focused. Alec Briggs, one of the big favourites for the title. Never won the national title during his career. If there was ever a year, this could be it. Dare I say it too early?
That would be quite amazing, wouldn't it?
But I think for this kind of race, there's a number of riders, and 2 of the big standout riders, Matt Bostock and Ollie Wood, both racing for Rapha Cycling Club. They're both riders who can win from various different ways, and I feel like a lot of riders, a lot of teams are going to be watching out for those 2 riders in particular. But then you've also got Noah Hobbs, for example, who races for EF Education Easy Post at World Tour level. He's already had a victory, a brilliant victory at the start of June. His younger brother, Henry Hobbs, is racing too. He had a victory over in Austria, the Tour of Austria, the day before Noah had took a victory. So there's a lot of riders who are individuals here. They're racing for big teams, whether it's a development team or a World Tour squad, but they're the only rider represented from their squad. So they're coming up against riders and teams who have got strength in numbers, in particular the Jackaroo Hansling Racing Squad.
Well, you mentioned the Rapha Cycling Club with their representatives Ollie Wood and Matt Bostock. Matt Bostock's girlfriend, also riding for the Rapha Cycling Club, Megan Barker, picked up the women's race. Let's hear her reaction now. I think we can talk to Meg Barker.
Megan, congratulations. Second time winning the National Crit Champs, but the first time here in Wales. How special was that?
So special. It was really unexpected, just like the last time I won, actually. Yeah, I've got my parents here, and in Wales it's just really nice. And I crashed on this course last year, so I didn't get to finish, so it feels like a bit of redemption for that.
Brilliant. Talk us through the race and the final couple of laps. How did it go? And did it pan out how you hoped it would?
Yeah, that was one of the hardest crits I've ever done. Like, normally it's really hard and you have to keep fighting, and it kind of lets off about halfway, and it just never let off. There was so many attacks. There was teams that had like 8-9 riders, so they were just firing off. I just committed to trying to keep it all together, really, because I'm fairly confident in my sprint as long as I get the positioning right, and luckily I got the positioning right today.
Amazing, you certainly did. And what's next for you? You going for Sunday as well?
I'm going for Sunday in terms of I'm on the start line, but it doesn't suit me at all, so yeah. I'm just there to ride a nice course on Welsh roads.
Well, many congratulations, well done, national champs.
Thank you.
There's Johnny Clay as well, just in the foreground on the walkie-talkie, wearing the British cycling uniform, who will be, I think, delighted with the performance of his daughter Robin Clay in the women's race as well. But let's turn our attention to the men's. Is there any learnings that we can take from what Hannah had to say about how hard she found this course on this occasion? And I guess that's reflective of the fact that it just didn't calm down because there's very, very little scope to make a difference on this course.
The nature of the circuit doesn't lend itself to and give you an opportunity to recover and get some respite when it's flat out and there's not really a lull in the race. The heat has a huge factor to play this evening. That is making things incredibly tough and difficult for these riders. Very difficult to cool down, to get when you're in the backside of the course. There's very little wind as well, so very little cooling. You can see there, just taking a swig of the drink at the very back of the group. Henry Hobbs.
Yeah, wearing that very familiar yellow of Visma Lisa bike, part of their development team. There's Alec Briggs. So I'm unkind to call Alec Briggs a veteran now. I don't know, you'd probably have to take that, wasn't he? But you always know that he's going to be in the race. I mean, he won't let it just drift by him, and he'll be fully involved. And there with the moustache, you can see in the background, is the defending champion, Cameron Mason, riding not obviously in the national champions kit, but instead in his trade team, Alpecin Premier Tech. There he is. And if he races, Hannah, you and I were both in central London not so long ago for the City of London Nocturne. If he races this race, anything like he raced the last race, he'll be all over the front, won't he, and try to rip it to bits.
Yeah, he will. He will. And I think for Mason, he knows that this is a course, he knows exactly how to win on this course, but he also knows you have to race it from the front. And I think the key thing on a course like this, if you are at the back, is not to panic and not to waste energy in trying to move yourself up or make silly moves. You really eat into your energy resources on a course like this, and as I said before, there's very little opportunity to recover, especially if you go into the red. There's no chance of recovering here. Just back to Alec Briggs, I think you can call him a veteran. He's 33 now. Yeah, he's 33. Yeah.
I don't know, is that veteran? Still feel like that might be a little bit. I think it's the beard that kind of lends him veteran status. It's a bit unfair. It's a bit unfair. I mean, a generation ago, 33, you'd just be coming into your best years as a rider, wouldn't you? Anyway, they line up just a few seconds really to go until we can get the racing underway. There'll be a formation lap just as they were with the women, and then they'll get a good view of the 1.6 kilometre circuit that many of them will know, because of course this is the exact same circuit that was raced last year for the Quick Championships.
Taking the shot of the riders here, just gathering their thoughts.
It's quite a nervous moment, to be honest. Being on the start line, the anticipation, you're waiting, the build-up from...
Well, you know it's going to hurt, don't you, Hannah?
Of course.
It's just going to hurt, so there's no way around it.
Tom Armstrong, he's another really experienced rider. Executioner just to the right of Alec Briggs, youngster from London.
Of course, it's worth noting, isn't it, that Alec Briggs is the boss of the Tekkers team as well as their star rider in many ways. It's his team, built in his image, with his ethos, really. South Londoner, like myself.
He's had some great riders over the years race for the team too.
It gives opportunities to riders who might not get it elsewhere as well. Really believes in, I think, making this sport of ours entertaining as well for the crowd. And the show is never far away when Alec Briggs is involved. So there we go. I love it about some British cycling events that there is very little fanfare. There's no countdown from the crowd. You just get going, don't you? Get on with it, Hannah. There's Henry Hobbs, the younger of the two Hobbs brothers, and his brother is in this peloton too, wearing the, haven't spotted him yet, but wearing the team kit of EF Education Easy Post.
The rider's going to have a sighting lap, so 1 lap behind this motorbike, behind the camera motorbike, and then once they come into the finishing straight, the bike will pull off and the racing will officially get underway.
Okay, let's have a look at this route map then, just from the air, so to speak, so you can get a little bit more of a sense of how it all plays out. Here it is then, finishing on, and starting indeed, on Victoria Terrace, right next to the coast, before heading slightly uphill in a very narrow section, and then through the middle of town really, just a series of bends, and then dropping down Queen's Road and down onto Victoria Terrace again. And that's the longest, straightest section of the road approaching the start-finish line, where we did actually see probably the majority of the attacks in the women's race. A couple of private members as well, as we saw in the women's race. We've got 2 riders dressed all in black with the white helmets, John Bardsley and Kishan Bakrania. There's one of them, not sure which of the 2 that is. And just as within the women's peloton, there are 1 or 2 riders who are all on their own without any support from any teammates. But it's a bigger peloton. There were 61 starters in the women's race. There are 70 of the men, and actually it's more evenly distributed, isn't it? There are, most of these riders have got teammates in one shape or another.
Oh, blowing a kiss to his mum. That's nice.
Are we going to see Alec Briggs launch an attack straight away? He was lined up right on the front.
I think for Briggs, he's got to first follow the moves and follow the wheels and follow for the first 20 minutes or so, and don't show your card too early, don't dig yourself into a hole and really use up all of your resources. This race is going to be around the 1 hour marker, 50, maybe just a little bit less. 50 minutes, then you've got the 5 laps, give or take, 7, 8 minutes, maybe 9 minutes. Of course, depends on the situation and the scenario that is unfolding. So it's a long time to be right at the top end of your heart rate zones.
Postanel development team have got 3 riders in this race: Matt Peace, Finn O'Brien and Jake Bush. And now we get the racing underway, and it is one of those Picnic Postanel riders who goes on the offensive straight away. The attack's beginning now. Not Alec Briggs, but his teammate from the team Tekkers is on the offensive. He's got 2 teammates, Ben Tuchner and Paddy Chapman. As we head towards this left-hand turn, and where the road narrows right down and just goes slightly uphill. This is an opportunity to stretch things out and launch.
This section of the course is really deceptive. It's actually ever so slightly uphill, so a good opportunity for Matt Peace here of Picnic Postanel development team to apply some pressure down the backside where it's narrow, as you can see. Will Roberts in that black jersey sitting in 5th wheel, black skin suit, white helmet, racing for the MyPad Racing Ondo Sports Squad. Another rider who's recently just been announced that he'll be representing Wales at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow in just over a month's time.
Matt Peace just looking around, checking to see what's happening behind. He's got a little bit of a gap, but it's all stretched out single file. Both the Hobbs brothers up in the top 15 places. You can see Noah Hobbs in the pink jersey, around about 4 or 5 positions behind his younger brother. Aren't younger brothers annoying, eh? Just when he thought...
Depends on the scenario.
Just when he thought he was...
a turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't it be interesting to see both the Hobbs brothers get up the road?
It's highly likely that they will both be up there, to be honest. Both given the characteristics of the riders, even if it comes down to a bunch sprint here. Both riders are very, very quick. And for Henry Hobbs, winning that bunch sprint over in Austria on stage 2 of the Austrian Tour, what a performance that was.
Yeah. Attack launched on the left-hand side of the road. And again, this was a feature of the women's race. This long, quite wide approach to the finish line, Victoria Terrace, has been used by riders just to sneak off the front and turn it into an attack that goes somewhere. Cameron Mason now visible with his teammate Will Salter on the left-hand side, just tracking the barriers. That is the defending champion with the aero helmet on. Cam Mason already putting his nose in the wind and expending energy. Right onto the wheel now of the lone attacker. So the defending champion, we did predict this, Hannah. He's not exactly hanging around, is he, in this race? Straight onto the front, and well, this is just how he likes to race.
And try and get the jump on his rivals, make sure that the pace is kept high. I think he'd far prefer to have a race where he's never too far away, and you can see how long the peloton has been stretched out to. So if you're last in this group, you could be 200 meters behind the rider who's in first place. So he's wanted to race this from the front. Big acceleration now down this backside.
And of course, this is what we now know, don't we, over the last 5 or 6 years of watching road racing. We know and understand much better what it is that cyclocross training and preparation gives a rider when they come into the road discipline. It's that ability to go incredibly hard for a couple of minutes and then recover quickly and go again. That's how Mathieu van der Poel, his illustrious teammate, tends to race, and Wout van Aert as well. And Cameron Mason is cut from the same cloth, to some extent at least.
You can already start to see the elastic has snapped 7, maybe 8 riders back, due to the impetus and the pace being set by Cam Mason.
Hobbs 1, Hobbs 2.
That was Jed Smithson of Hagens-Bern and Jayco who closed the deficit there. He's the rider in that, broad shoulders, purple with the grey shorts.
But nothing's got away at the moment, just a lot of pressure. Oh, there's a bit of a gap developing there, isn't there? Rider in the red kit, the white aero helmet. There is a serious gap and a little bit of looking around to see who's going to take the responsibility of closing it.
Alec Briggs is on the wrong side of the split. He's just gone across the line there. He's got one teammate with him. This is a dangerous situation now. The fact that Cam Mason has set things alight so early on, this has caught a lot of riders out. Tim Shawman up towards the front, as is Tom Armstrong in the fluorescent jerseys.
Bostock and Wood both there in the those muted colours of the Rafa Cycling Club. But it looks like some of the steam has gone out of the front of the race, for now at least. Matt Bostock goes into this race. Would it be fair to say, Hannah, we can see him there in 5th wheel just going around the corner now as probably the out-and-out favourite?
I would say so. I would say, looking at his recent run of victories, and when you take a look at this field, I think by far the big favourite to take the title and to take back the title. But he's got strong opposition from numerous riders. We've already mentioned Noah Hobbs, you know, a real key contender in that pink jersey. Certainly watch out for him. Other riders include Will Roberts, a brilliant rider, a brilliant track rider. He's really good at the recovery. He's clearly in really good form as well, thanks to his selection for the Commonwealth Games. Jim Brown, another great criterium rider.
Good positioning from that rider, followed by Smithson. Noah Hobbs is in around about 5th place now, worked his way up closer to the front. And Ben Tuchner from the Tekkers team up there towards the front as well.
Yellow jersey amongst the leaders, Henry Hobbs, the team photo release of Ollie.
But you can see already some of the big favourites, including Bostock and Wood, are very vigilant. Even now, even in these early phases, they're all over the front, aren't they? Bostock just going through the shot there in the finish line, because there's this sense already in the race that, and we've seen it almost happen, that a selection could be made quite early on. Unlike the women's race, this one might rip up.
You've got to be vigilant, and if you're not, you find yourself in a situation where, and especially if you're not constantly keeping an eye on where you are in the bunch, and you're going backwards as other riders are coming around, and you're in almost that washing machine effect where riders are coming around you, and quite quickly you'll find yourself going from a very good position, you're up towards the front, and next minute you're 20th, 25th position. And so you've got to be vigilant in terms of keep moving forward, and even just by keeping moving forward, sometimes you're just staying exactly where you are, maybe in the top 5.
Some of this course is frighteningly narrow, isn't it? It widens out a little bit here and straightens out, and an opportunity presents itself for riders to make up a few places here, but there are other sections of the court where it really is impossible to move up the line. Here's Gibbrad, he's on his own, riding for the Legion of Los Angeles team, but formerly I think he rode for the Canyon team, didn't he, back in the day when that was still a thing?
He did.
He's a bit of a dark horse, an outsider, Jim Brown, going pretty well in that dark blue kit with the red trim on the cuffs. Well, the Rafa duo, I think it's Wood who's towards the front at the moment. Just in 5th place, or is that... Well, no, it's Bostock. Costanel, that's Peace again, towards the front. As they hit the coast, and the sun is looking... got a honeyed kind of glow to it now, just dancing off those gentle waves on this lovely, lovely early summer's evening. And in the straight now, it just slows down a bit, and there might well be an attack off this pace. The two Hobbs brothers side by side as they go through the finish line. There's Alec Breeks, still just about in contact with the race, but still work to do to get himself a bit further up. Light tailwind as well, cross tailwind on Victoria Terrace, but the wind really not a factor tonight at all, as it often is in Aberystwyth, it must be said. Not tonight. That's the point now. I can't quite believe how narrow the race is right there, Hannah, and how they managed to squeeze through.
Yeah, very, very technical, and it doesn't let up even down this section, whilst it is a slight decline, a slight little downhill. Still very, very narrow, very little opportunity to try and move up and get yourself into a better position. Tom Armstrong of the wheelbase squad now wanting to make an acceleration and an attack from first wheel. Wood on his wheel, just takes a little look down. He had a little bit of an issue there, but Peace never too far away from the front either, in that navy blue jersey with the orange stripes down the front.
I remember very well when Ollie Wood claimed this title up in Redcut a couple of years ago. Brilliant bit of riding that was. He just launched off the front and went clear, and no one could catch him. A little bit later on in the race, but I can't remember the distance or the time that he was off the front. It was substantial. As Will Salter now picks it up for Alpecin. He's got Noah Hobbs with him. Again, little splits behind. And we've seen one move so far from his teammate, Cam Mason. There's Mason just going through, so he's dropped a little bit further back to around about 20th place. 19 years of age, Will Salter. Two riders from the wheelbase team in those very, very identifiable neon-coloured skin suits. But both Hobbs brothers, almost as if they're riding as a team at the moment. They are, neither have attacked, but they have been right up towards the front, hovering around the top 10 placings ever since we got this race underway 11 minutes ago.
I think it makes sense for both of them to do that and to have that collaboration and cohesion. Of course, I think they'd be happy if either one of them was able to take the national title this evening, but first and foremost...
Do you think so? Is that how brothers work?
Well, I think first and foremost you'd prefer your brother to win over a rival, if it's not going to be yourself, you'd want your sibling to win, as opposed to somebody else. The thing they've got until it gets to the finish, and let's not forget, both very, very fast finishers, so
Yep.
I would expect they would be sprinting against each other. Until they get to that point, they can form an alliance.
Yeah.
And help each other out in small ways throughout the race.
Well, Noah, the older of the two, who's now in third wheel in the pink kit, is alone, isn't he? There's no teammate from EF Education Easy Post to support him. Henry, his brother, does have the support
Well,
of a teammate.
I haven't seen Will Smith
in this front group.
at all.
At all. That's
So
very
I
true. There's only one yellow kit.
It's
He hasn't
only
started.
Henry Hobbs
Yeah.
who has started, I believe.
Well,
but Will Smith didn't take to the start.
There we go. Good observation there, Hannah. In which case, they will work as a team, won't they? At this point.
It makes sense. It's to both of their benefits, to be honest. That piece is persistent, isn't he?
Yep. Salter's done a lot of riding on the front as well for Alpecin. When are we going to see the next move from Cam Mason? He's the next rider I'm looking out for to see whether he's going to work. He's just gone around the corner now, so he's still content to sit in the wheels a little bit. But I think he's made the most significant sort of moves so far, hasn't he? And he looks in sparkling form once more. And that piece pushes on with Salter on his wheel.
Here we go, still all 300 friends.
Over the finish line they go again. Pretty much single file until you get down to these sort of placings, 30 or so riders from the front.
Looks as though in that red jersey, sort of black jersey, sorry, with a little fluorescent and red on it. Looks as though that's Alistair Gardner racing for the French club team of Nancy.
There's a few riders, isn't there, in the men's peloton who are racing at the moment for club teams in France. Over the water, Tom Portsmouth, formerly of the Bingol team, he rides for Guidon Chalatois. Who else did I spot? There's one or two others who are racing in France. I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, the ASPTT Nancy team have got actually 3 riders, haven't they? Ben Bright, Alistair, and the 2 Gardner brothers, Alistair and Thomas.
You've also got Matt Kent racing for the Belgian squad of Dovie Koken's FCC.
Oh yeah, I knew there was. Will Tidbull, of course, who's an established name in the domestic scene. He now races for Vélo Club Villefranche-Beaujolais. Huge amount of work being done by Salter on the front of this bunch. And this is definitely a domestique's ride, isn't it? He's not attacking, he's not going clear, he's setting a pace that he has been asked to set and doing the work that I think his Scottish team leader, Cam Mason, the defending champion, has asked him to do. Keeping it hard, making it hard, keeping everybody pinned. Slight war of attrition going on here, but we're waiting for the next big attack. And this is Tom Portsmouth, I think. I'm quite happy to confess that the Guidon Chalatois team kit is not one I'm familiar with.
It looks as though it's his stature, his
Yep.
riding style as well.
The classics rider, isn't he?
He is. Former recipient of the Rayner Foundation as well.
Yeah.
Great talent, really nice lad as well.
Really intelligent rider as well. Thinks about the wider world beyond bike racing a great deal as well. So neither Hobbs has made a move yet. Henry just fiddling with his bike computer as the pace just dies down a little bit. And his brother Noah just drops back. The 2 Rafa riders, Wood and Bostock, who are among the hot favourites, especially Matt Bostock, they've been a bit invisible over the last couple of laps. Ever since Ollie Wood just made that move, he's dropped back a little bit, although he's working his way up towards the front now on the right, just as soon as I mention that. There he is again.
I think it's smart for them to have periods of time where they're not up towards the front, where they're able to follow the wheels and just sit in. Until this point, there was no need for them to really show their face up towards the front. Benji Tushner now of Tekkers now starts to accelerate and make this move. Bostock reacts, as does Armstrong. Smithson once again in that purple jersey of Hagens. Bermans, Jaco in that purple jersey coming across.
Yeah, looking very strong, isn't he? Jed Smithson. And on his wheel, taking shelter behind those substantial shoulders of his, he brings the rest of the bunch back to the three riders at the front, Armstrong and Bostock and Tuchner. Bostock senses an opportunity here to do some damage to this race. Smithson is pretty much on his own now. He's dropped everybody else behind, and he has made the junction across. And now we've got a fighting force of exactly the right size, and Cameron Mason senses the danger with Ollie Wood on his wheel. The Hobbs brothers as well, hoping that comes back. But Mason wants to be part of this move.
And he knows this is a really, really dangerous move that's going up the road with Bostock, Armstrong, Smithson.
Yeah, he can't hesitate now.
No, he can't, and with Tuchner too. So it's one of those moments where if this quartet gain 20 seconds, 25 seconds, it'll be game over. So Mason now wants to nullify this move, try and either come across or just bring it back to heel altogether.
And everybody else as well on the wheel is gambling that it is Mason's ride that brings this back. Of course, Ollie Wood has a teammate up the road. He's not going to ride, so he's sitting on the wheel of the rider from Alpecin. Neither of the Hobbs brothers, quite notably, have put their nose right in the wind yet. Smithson just been distanced a little bit.
Yeah, he's struggling, having made that effort, having made that move to bridge the junction. He's really paying for the effort. Look at the way that his head falls, his shoulders start to rock and roll.
Of course, what Bostock is doing here is demonstrating the art of criterium racing, of circuit racing, isn't he? Because, Hannah, it's not as straightforward as just you sit on the wheels and then you wait for a sprint because you're fast, like Matt Bostock definitely is. There's
he could ultimately win a bunch sprint from,
exactly.
from all of these riders, but he doesn't want to do that. He really wants to make sure that he has a hard race, he races to his plan. He wants to give everybody a hard time. You can just see the way that he's ridden Smithson off the wheel. He was just riding Tuchner off the wheel. He's managed to recover and come back, but he's already, and we're only 20 minutes into the race, he's already got people and riders who are starting to feel the fatigue and who are right at the upper limit of their zones.
Mason's looking round, asking for help. There was a big gesture there of frustration from the Scotsman because he's sensing this group is going. And unless the Hobbs brothers and the Picnic Postanel riders get involved, and at the moment the brothers Hobbs are not prepared to do any of the work, then this group could go. As you say, Hannah, a gap of 15-20 seconds on a circuit like this when they're out of sight changes the entire race dynamic completely.
Completely changes it. It's one of those where you're out of sight but you're not out of mind, but you simply can't close the deficit. So we see riders trying to use this slight drag at the top part of the course to try and come across to the trio. Look at how much energy and how much power they're having to use here to bridge across this gap.
Well, if you're going to try a move like this, you've got to do it instantly, haven't you? You cannot afford to be stuck in that gap as Ben Bright appears to be at the moment for too long, because he is going to have to go so hard to get across to the front, especially when Bostock gets on the front and starts to drill it like he's doing. So Bright in difficulty here. He's perhaps done the only thing he could do, but he's looking round rather than ahead of him, and the head drops and the shoulders slump, and I don't think he's going to get across at this point, Hannah.
Bostock is just doing so much work on the front. He is really in control. He's the man dictating the situation of the two of the riders in this breakaway here.
And it looks
because
like
I feel like they can't come through.
It looks like he's riding within himself as well.
Yeah, and the others are suffering so much. Look at the way that Tuchner's just having to take a huge, deep breath. Now he starts to lose the wheel, head starts to drop.
There's Ben Bright, still stuck in a chasse patate, all on his own, caught in the middle. Tuchner's dropped. Armstrong just about holding the wheel of Matt Bostock. Now then, Bostock, half an hour, a little bit more than half an hour to go until the end of the race, maybe 34, 35 minutes, Hannah. I mean, you're maybe not yet, but you're within range for a rider like Matt Bostock of something that he could accomplish, aren't you?
Most certainly, most certainly. And you only have to take a look at the body language of these riders in this chase group. There are many riders who have got something left to give to be able to do the chasing here, and there's not much cohesion either. There aren't enough riders or teams who have got the strength and numbers up towards the front. When you see a mix of different jerseys, everybody's spent and cooked already. Whereas Bostock still looks like he's riding within himself. He still looks good, showing no signs of fatigue, or that he's gone way too deep and above his limit.
In the meantime, behind, I think Tom Portsmouth has managed to get across to Ben Bright and will probably go straight past him.
That could change things if there are two riders in the chase and if Portsmouth is indeed with Bright.
But it's a big gap already, isn't it?
It's huge.
Bostock, to my knowledge, hasn't flicked an elbow or asked for anything from Tom Armstrong yet. But those two riders have got together. They haven't got much of a gap over the front, and they have got a furious chase as Bostock continues to do all the riding on the front of the race. When's he going to ask for help, and is he going to get it at this point?
I think he's quite happy with the situation.
He knows he can get rid of
He
Armstrong?
knows he can get rid of Armstrong, I think.
Or take him to the line and beat him?
Yeah, most certainly. You know, Armstrong is a very experienced rider. He's been around for a long, long time. He's raced for many teams over in France. He raced for a Monegasque-based team for a couple of years too. So he's one of those riders who's got the experience. But for Bostock, he knows that he can out-sprint him. So even if he didn't give a turn and Bostock did all of the work throughout this criterium, Bostock would still be very, very confident of his capabilities. And I think it only takes Bostock to make a big acceleration and he'll try and dispatch Armstrong out the back.
So effectively we have got Matt Bostock making his move early and riding as if Tom Armstrong wasn't with him. It's a solo bid for glory for Matt Bostock, all or nothing. His teammate Ollie Wood is in this group that has come together, and Noah Hobbs is trying to get across to his brother. Henry Hobbs is in that group. Cameron Mason pulled a group of some 5 or 6 riders clear, got across to Bright and Portsmouth, but can any of them form an alliance that can do anything to bring back Matt Bostock? It's remarkable to see how little attention he's paying to the rider on his wheel.
I make that gap to the chasers 14 seconds.
Yeah, well, it's the entire length of one of the longest straight sections, isn't it?
Jim Brown, the rider, now on the front with Henry Hobbs in his wheel, followed by Cam Mason.
Pretty much a complete peloton now, as those counter-attackers have been caught. But Bostock is just, at this point in the race, stronger than anyone else on the road at the moment. The question is, can he hold it all the way to the line? 25 minutes or thereabouts have been raced. That's the halfway point before you have your last 5 closing laps. And it's beginning to tell for Johnny Britton of the Moonglue Spatswear team. So they've got a rough timing. That tallies with your calculation or thereabouts, Hannah. More than 10 seconds, less than 20. When they come over the finish line now, we'll be able to get a better sense of where they are. Whether or not the chase group is organised and can see the riders at the front, as Armstrong now does come through and do a turn. So, the wheelbase rider then supporting Matt Bostock, and they are collaborating, working together. Physically, big difference between the two riders.
Even just in their body composition, very, very different riders. Armstrong is a punchy rider who is good on the short, sharp climbs, slightly smaller in stature. Bostock, of course, an exceptional track rider. He's back on the track, so he's been working hard. He's been at altitude for several weeks up in Andorra, along with many others of the Great Britain track cycling team. So clearly in very, very good form, and timing his preparations to this point in the season very, very well. And of course, winning the City of London Nocturne only, 13 days ago.
Yep.
Then closely followed up only a handful of days later, winning the Cologne Grand Prix up in Lancashire.
Well, they haven't let it go. They are holding those two riders, I would say. No more than that at the moment, off the front. So this isn't a done deal, and there is no sense that these two riders can afford to take their foot off the gas at all. There's the group behind, and if anything, they have closed it a little, Hannah. And maybe that's a result of the fact that Armstrong did most of that previous lap, but the motorbike that is Matt Bostock has got back on the front. Yeah, that would indicate that 2 seconds have gone the way of the peloton. So this hangs in the balance now. 27 minutes on the clock. Approaching the halfway point in this criterium race. That word exchange between the two, I think, was just a little bit telling. You can see, though, from Tom Armstrong's body language, just and the way his bike is just rocking from side to side. He's on the edge here, isn't he, at the moment? He's just done a big turn. He's done the best part of a lap on the front. Just holding Bostock's wheel at the moment looks challenging.
He knows if he does too much work to assist and help with Bostock here, it's hanging in the balance. He'll go too deep and he'll completely capitulate, he'll explode, and he won't be in this situation, this scenario here. Bostock, on the other hand, yes, perhaps he'll start to get annoyed, the fact that he's not getting any turns and he's almost giving Armstrong a free ride currently. But I think it's one of those where keep your cool, keep your composure, and don't start to waste energy thinking about another rider and a rival, because I think he needs to put all of that power, that energy that he's got into knowing, I can get rid of Armstrong. All it'll take is one big acceleration, one big attack, and he could probably get rid of Armstrong from his wheel.
And in the meantime, manipulate him, basically, for want of a better word, get the best out of him and the work that he can do, the remaining work that Armstrong can do, to aid and support his effort to win this bike race. That would be the calculation I think that Bostock's making. He's just done an entire lap on the front, but he's going to expect Armstrong now, who's been recovering on his wheel, in inverted commas. Exactly, the elbow flicks now, and he wants him to come through. He probably knows that Armstrong hasn't got much more to give, but can he get another lap out of him?
Very different style, pedaling style too. You see Armstrong far higher cadence, Bostock just rolling over a big gear.
We were noting
very consistent in the way he takes on this lap.
We were noting in the women's race the deceptive elegance of Jess Roberts, and if there's a male Jess Roberts, it's kind of Matt Bostock.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Just looks so composed.
So composed, so solid. Yep. No movement in the upper body, very strong core.
Ooh. Now we've got a counter-attack going. Is it the Alperson brothers? No, it's Cameron Mason. He's got onto the wheel of another rider, and he's blasted clear. That could be potentially really good news for Matt Bostock and the others. If these two get across, albeit you've got last year's defending champion Cameron Mason, I think that would suggest if 4 riders get together, they can do, well, they could potentially be the final selection.
Callum Labor, the other rider in that navy blue jersey. Mason, who is on the front, currently trying to do the chasing. By the looks of things, Ollie Wood is also attempting to try and come across. So he's the teammate of Matt Bostock, another rider from the Rafa Cycling Club. You can see him in that silvery jersey.
Yeah, just going through the shot there, Ollie Wood. Both the Hobbs brothers are in that group behind what remains of the peloton that has been exploded by those 2 counter-attackers, who are now getting very, very close to getting across. And Ollie Wood is joining in, so the Rafa Cycling Club, having won the women's race, look to have their 2 cards to play here right at the front, Ollie Wood and Matt Bostock.
This is not good news for Armstrong, the fact that more riders are coming across, because the scenario, the situation at the head of the race, at the head of affairs, is going to change completely now. This might be the opportunity and the moment where the fact that he's not done too many turns and not given Bostock much of a hand is beneficial.
Yeah.
Because maybe he's got something left. It's very bizarre sometimes. Sometimes the deeper you get into a race, despite all of the suffering and you feel like you've got bad legs, you're not capable of following the wheels, the deeper you get into a race, sometimes something just clicks and the legs finally come round, and particularly when you start to see, right, well, I've only got 5 minutes to go, for example, or I've only got 5 laps, I just have to hang on. It's almost that psychological aspect too for riders.
And also understand that everybody else is hurting as well.
Absolutely.
So Ollie Wood getting together with Laborde and Cam Mason. Got a rider in the middle there, and then Henry Hobbs riding, but with no great impetus. The Hobbs brothers, if they're going to win this race, it will be courtesy of really quite a spectacular gamble, because they've done nothing. Has the
But
winning
how long
move?
can you gamble for?
Yeah, has the winning move already gone? That's the question now.
You know, at some point, you've got to realise two of the big favourites have gone up the road in Wood and Bostock. Mason, the defending
Mason,
champion, has gone up the road, and so you've got to start to realise, okay, is the race riding away from me now, and do I need to quickly act on the scenario and the situation unfolding in front of me? Which I would say, with the time gaps at sort of 10 seconds to Tom Scott, who's chasing back with Jim Brown, along with Portsmouth, I would say now's about the time to start to get your act together and start to make some inroads to the front of the race here between Henry and Noah Hobbs. Because they've got the physical capabilities to do so.
Bostock, a rare look back to see what's happening behind him. Further commitment on the front. You can see the way Tom Armstrong's arms have locked up there a little bit. There's tension in those shoulders. He does have a slightly more ragged pedal stroke, as you were outlining, Hannah, than Matt Bostock. Here's the chase group: Ollie Wood, Cameron Mason, Callum Laborde. Deficit of some 6 or 7 seconds or thereabouts. Matt Bostock, in his bid to emulate his girlfriend's endeavours of just an hour and a bit ago, Megan Barker, who won the women's race in a bunch sprint, effectively. I think we can call it a bunch sprint. It wasn't the full peloton, but it was a good portion of the peloton that she out-sprinted. As Ollie Wood now shares the work with those two riders. These 3 riders in the second group, all combining really well. Curious position we're in at the moment, of Bostock doing all this work on the front and his teammate Ollie Wood riding on the front of the second group. But then again, it's the National Championships, so it's slightly different, isn't it? They are, yes, they're a team, albeit a 2-man team, but they're also kind of not. It's nuanced.
It is nuanced, definitely it is. I mean, essentially they should be riding as individuals.
Yep.
But as you say, very, very nuanced.
Yep.
I think for Ollie Wood now, it's a case, and the fact that the group behind isn't too far away, it's a case of you need to make the bridge, make the junction.
Nearly there, isn't it? Very nearly there. Although Matt Bostock's riding like he wants to keep them off the back. But that bunch, what remains of the bunch, is not too far behind. So the whole shape of this race is in flux and in balance at the moment. It'd be very, very brave call, wouldn't it, to seriously commit to what you think might happen here in terms of a prediction. This group isn't too far behind, Hannah. And there are riders like Portsmouth who are committing to the front.
I feel like there's a number of riders who've gone through a bit of a rough patch in this race because of the pace and searing temperatures, and they've come round. And now they've started to get their act together behind, and there's a little bit more cohesion. So there are other riders from rival teams who are now starting to work at the front. And all it takes is for a couple of moments like this where a bit of freewheeling, riders look around, who's going to come through and do a turn now? Well, now it's 12 to 5 riders. Bostock's certainly not going to just sit on the front and do what he's been doing with Armstrong.
No, Cameron Mason, he was very aware of what you've just described there, Hannah, wasn't it? They can't afford, even for... I mean, they're not going to go flat sticks. They've got to temper their effort, but they can't afford to let up and start playing games. Just like Bostock doing. He's refusing to work now. And if there's one rider that's going to infuriate, it's going to be Cameron Mason. And there we go. Look at that. As if from nowhere, that gap had closed, and now we've got a very different dynamic because Henry Hobbs has made it across. Well, we didn't see that move, but that must have been one mighty dig. And the bunch really is close now. That motorbike will have to disappear out of the way, and there you go, the ebb and flow of a criterium race. That looked like it was a really viable selection of riders, but it looks like they're all going to be joined imminently by the peloton. The older Hobbs brother in the pink of EF Education Easy Post, but they haven't actually got across to the 5 riders at the front yet. I think pretty much all of the favourites are there, with respect to Alec Briggs, who was one of the bigger name riders who found himself off the back quite early on in this race, which, as the women's winner, Megan Barker, described and outlined, has just not let up. John Bardsley, one of the private members. Cameron Mason looked round and saw that the remainder of the group had come back to the front of the race. So we look to have around about 40 riders at the front. Maybe not quite as many as that. Hollywood pushing on, opens up a little bit of a gap. Tom Armstrong has to close it. Now the Hobbs have, well, Henry Hobbs at least has really started to change his race tactic. We're a little bit closer to that finishing line now. 38 minutes raced. Around about 24 minutes perhaps of racing still to go, 25 minutes thereabouts. Tom Peace, who had a very active start to the race, is back at the front and attacking off the front. And again, using that just that little bit of an incline as they head away from the coast and up into town to do that, to make that move. But he hasn't got a gap to speak of. And Ollie Wood and Matt Bostock are all over the front of...
Armstrong once again.
Yeah.
He's recovered quickly. He's all over it. His teammate's not too far away either. That's Dexter Leeming Sykes of the wheelbase, Captec Castelli squad. You've got to give it to that team, to be honest. They've been such a long-standing team, around for well over 15 years.
Will Salter, Cam Mason's teammate, is still there. He's a little bit towards the back, but both the Alpecin riders are still there. Armstrong's not going to work here at the moment with Tom Peace. Matt Peace, I should say.
Looking at the stature, I think this is Jacob Bush, of one of the 3 riders from Picnic Postonel development team. A little bit of an issue there for Henry Hobbs in the yellow jersey. Now Bostock goes again.
Well, it's phenomenal, isn't it? After all the work that he's able to do, and he's chosen that that point on Victoria Terrace where the road widens out, the road flattens out, and they're along the coast to launch that big attack. And Cam Mason looks round to see if he's got the gap, which he has. But it's Bostock again who's animating things, and he's that bit closer to the finishing line and still obviously feeling good. Cameron Mason hasn't quite shut that gap down, has he? As Ben Bright, who's on the front of the bunch. Mason's going really deep. Good ride from Bright.
Really, really impressive from Bright. And we already saw earlier on his teammate Alistair Gardner doing a good ride too.
He's gone very deep there.
Alec Briggs, fifth wheel.
There he is.
There he is.
Yeah.
Right on time, right on cue.
Fantastic. I wonder what sort of race he's had even to be in that position though. Has Alec Briggs got anything left to give? Well, he's following the moves here, following Bright and Mason up towards the front. Bostock risks a look under his arm just to see what sort of state Jake Bush is and whether or not that gap is worth preserving and developing. Ollie Wood with Hobbs on his wheel. Briggs now working on the front, flicks an elbow. Tom Portsmouth is in this move as well. Some 12, 14 riders behind. About to be joined by a few more. There's Alec Briggs. Technically, he's right on top of his game and always has been, hasn't he, Alec Briggs?
The thing for Briggs, I would say, in the last 5 years, he's really been training properly. We know he's technically and with his bike handling skills, he's one of the best in this entire bunch. He's absolutely sublime, but I would say he's had more structure to his training, and that's why I think we've seen far better performances from Briggs.
Yeah, he's a busy man though, isn't he, with all his various different ventures and projects.
And looking after some of the younger riders within the team and making sure they've got everything they need.
So, 4 riders at the front. We've got Bostock, Jake Bush, Tom Portsmouth. What a ride from Tom Portsmouth to be in the mix here.
Wouldn't it be great if he could?
Yeah, absolutely. Released by his trade team and having to drop down to amateur level. This is some ride here from Tom Portsmouth to be in the mix. But I've been in touch with him off and on throughout the spring and the summer, and his form has been really good in the French local scene of late. Looks strong today, hasn't he, Hannah?
He looks really strong. You take a look at his position on the bike, his pedalling style, bit like Bostock actually. The way it's low cadence, big gear, able to kick things on. Look at the difference between Bright, for example, who's got a very high cadence, really having to sort of stamp on the pedals just to stay in the wheels, whereas Portsmouth looks fluid.
Yeah. Flick of the elbow from Tom Portsmouth. One rider trying to get across here, Hannah. Doing a good effort as well.
Really good effort to try and come across. Jake Edwards of the Zappies team. Another rider who's a lone representative in this race, but again another rider who sensed the danger, picked his moment, bided his time until this point.
There is 0 Hobbs representation at the front of the race at the moment. Neither Henry nor Noah have managed to get across to the front of the race, and it looks like this quartet has slotted in immediately to perfect cooperation, hasn't it? Jake Bush of the Picnic Postanel development team. Is he going to get there? Jake Edwards.
Bush has come off the back of quite a bit of racing, but also a 4th place in yesterday's individual time trial at under 23 level, so clearly in very good form. And as you say, Portsmouth in the red jersey with the red helmet, he's had so many race days under his belt this year. Perhaps not a bad thing, actually, for Portsmouth. The fact that he's dropped down to amateur level, he's gone from racing at pro team level, at second division level, racing as a fully fledged pro, having to sadly drop down, but having a lot of race days in the legs, some really good performances, podiums. He's been up there in the overall general classification of certain races too, so he comes into this race with a lot of confidence, I'd say.
Agony at the moment for Edwards, who's just stuck in the middle, isn't he? Difficult to know at the moment what's happening in the bunch at the back, who might or might not be doing the work. But on a circuit like this, in a peloton of this size, 4 riders, okay, 5 if Edwards gets across, but I think that's not a given that he's going to get across. 4 riders is the optimum number, isn't it?
Most definitely, and I worked that out, I put the clock on it for around 5 seconds there for Edwards chasing across. So
it's going to seem like a minute, isn't it?
It will do, it will do. But when you take a look at the situation behind,
looks like
where is everybody? It's like we've only got 5 riders left in the race, and it's left to Armstrong to do the chasing.
After all the work that he's done. Cameron Mason looks to have shot his bolt a little bit as well. He's a little bit further back, still up towards the front, but has this group gone now? Because look at the clock, 47, 42, 43. Edwards, by his body language, suggests that he's beginning to pay for those early efforts. Yeah, that doesn't look to me, Hannah, like a rider who's going to be able to get across on his own. Not with his firepower, and not with the amount of cooperation from 4 committed riders who don't want the complication of a 5th involved, who don't need him at the moment.
He'll be praying that they start to look at each other in this front quartet, looking at which rider's going to come through and take a turn, and that would be his saving grace.
It's his only chance, really, isn't it?
Well, it's 4 riders against 1. You have got 3 riders who can sit in the wheels and have some recovery, whilst Edwards is doing everything himself.
Meantime, the peloton is at 28 seconds.
Wow.
Seven seconds to Edwards. Well, we can see the gap for ourselves, and we can see how hard it is for him to close it and how little impact he's making. But still, Edwards is condemned, if you like, to plug away and just hope that this group starts to fall apart. There's no sign of it at the moment. I mean, he's doing a really good ride just to keep himself in the mix here.
He's holding it consistently, the time gap consistent. It's still around 7 seconds, so despite him having this lone chase, it's not all over. You've got to take your hat off to him.
"28 seconds though, Hannah, to the peloton. They're not coming back, are they? That's done.
That's done. That's absolutely done.
So Perm 1 from 4, maybe 5, but more likely 1 from 4. One of these riders at the very front of the race has
Bush
a
knows,
golden opportunity of taking the victory here.
They do, and Bush knows that he's got to try and get off the front somehow. He doesn't want to take this down to a sprint with Bostock. So now it's a case of right, how can I try and split things? How can I try and get the upper hand?
Well, this
because
is
one rider is going to miss out on a medal.
Yep. Jake Edwards, I think, is losing contact now with the front of the race. It appears to be the end of his hopes of getting across to the front and contest the podium places. And we just saw shots of the peloton just going up that little rise and away from the seafront, and as we've suspected, they appear to be done. Bostock, though, just developing a little attack into potentially a move that needs to be shut down by Bright. Just a few bike lengths of a gap there as he applies pressure to all these riders behind. It's going to be 5 laps left when they come over the finish line this time. What does Bostock do? He's invested more, well, certainly than Tom Portsmouth. All these riders actually thinking about it at various different points. They've all done a lot of work on the front, haven't they?
Yeah.
But Bostock's done more. Bostock, he has done
because
the
he was
most.
away previously, wasn't he, with Armstrong, with Tushner. He's done a lot. Edwards still chipping away. For Bostock from this group, he should be very confident that he can win. In terms of the tactic now over the next 5 laps, you've got sort of roughly 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 9 minutes of racing to go. He should be very, very confident that he can out-sprint all of these riders. The big thing is, how can somebody like Ben Bright in that fluorescent jersey, or Jacob Bush of Picnic Postanel development team in the navy blue with the orange stripes, try and upset the tactic of Bostock? And I dare say it, Portsmouth can be very strong, very powerful from this quartet. If it comes down to a sprint between himself and Bostock and the others.
Well, if Matt Bostock's education was on the track of Manchester Velodrome, then Tom Portsmouth's education, as we see him move to the front now, is very much on the streets of Belgium. He has grown up in the Belgian kermesse and domestic racing scene, so none of these technicalities will be of particular issue to him. But in his career, he's still a very young man, Tom Portsmouth. He's never been this close to a big result.
Yeah, this would be huge for him. I think even if he was to finish on the podium, would be a massive result.
Agreed. And he's got a really realistic chance as we get a time gap there to Jake Edwards, who's at 9 seconds. Peloton at 24, they are, I think Cameron Mason, last time we saw, is just the mustachioed Scotsman just gritting his teeth and doing all the riding on the front in the hope that something miraculous happens, but they are running out of laps. It's going to be 4 laps to go this time around. Just trying to look into their eyes to see how fatigued these riders are. Bostock still looks fabulous, but Portsmouth looks relaxed. How much longer do they stay together as a quartet? Or will the attacks come? And if so, where? There are very few places. Watch out for Peace. He's dropped to the back of this group. He has in the past just moved to the front on this little rise. I wonder if he might consider that he's got to, if he wants to win this race, got to do something expansive. Maybe on the penultimate lap, try and create a bit of uncertainty, a bit of tactical confusion. Get the gap, Hannah. That's all about, you know, getting that instant gap and forcing the other riders to work out who's going to chase him down.
It's trying to work out a position, a location on this circuit where you can attack. A good opportunity would be through the finish line, making that left-hand turn on the slight rise. But if you're not going into that in first wheel, it's very, very narrow to try and come round somebody. And if you're going to go from first wheel, the rider behind you has the full overview to make the acceleration. Perhaps could it be through this next little section, as Edwards is still dangling there.
He is still there. Some ride from Jake Edwards, because
and he's still hanging at 7 seconds.
To my mind, I haven't seen too much let up in this group. That piece, tellingly, has just let a bike length of a gap develop there, which is often the tell that an attack might be imminent. They drop down onto the coast again. And he is closer. He is definitely closer now, Edwards, which must be because they've just eased off a little bit now. They know that the peloton is effectively beaten. They must have knocked a few watts off. And watch out for Peace again. That bike length. Correction, Jake Bush is the picnic rider, but this is the man I think we should be paying respect to, paying attention to, Edwards. because he might yet come back into this. Now, whether or not he's got much left by the time he gets there is another question, but first things first, can he get across to the front? And all of a sudden, Hannah, that's becoming a really realistic question.
Very realistic.
Because they're talking to one another now. Portsmouth and Bostock. Oh, he's nearly there.
It seems as though it's this downhill section here on the backside of the course where Edwards really suffers in trying to come across. It's not been an easy chase, it hasn't, but he's got the riders in his sights. He can track their move. Bostock doesn't want this to happen though. He doesn't want a fifth rider to join this group, or a fourth rider to join and then to make it 5.
Bostock's hurting everyone here. He's hurting everyone. You could see that the gap to Jake Bush had grown, and for the first time as well, a real sign of pain on the face of Tom Portsmouth as well as Bostock. You can see now, just in the distance, he's opened up a gap, and Bostock is making a move. He's flying away, and it's only Jake Bush at the moment who can go with him. Portsmouth, canny rider that he is refusing to do the work and hoping that Ben Bright brings everyone back. But that was a painful move from Bostock, and he's persisting. And Portsmouth is in trouble. Tom Portsmouth is in trouble now. Really fighting now to get back on the wheel of Bright, because he's been dropped off the wheel of the rider in front of him, and he's really having to work hard to close that gap.
Only now are you starting to see the shoulders rock and roll on the rider in red, Portsmouth. Bright, he needs to try and close the gap to the back wheel of Bush. Meanwhile, Edwards still persistent. What is the deficit?
He was almost there, wasn't he, Edwards?
Yeah.
And then Bostock just turned up the gas a little bit. But Edwards might well have, I think, got so close only to find the door slammed in his face. Such a cruel sport, isn't it? It really can be. Now, if that was the big move from Matt Bostock to get away, you'd have to say, Hannah, it didn't work.
It didn't work, and Bush was able to follow him pedal stroke for pedal stroke.
So,
not an easy thing trying to follow someone like Matt Bostock, and so I think for Bush, he knows, and he's already identified, as everybody should in this group, that Bostock is going to try and do something, and he's certainly the wheel to follow. Meanwhile, Bright, having closed the deficit to Bush and Bostock, now comes round to the front on the backside. Portsmouth looking a little bit more sprightly now.
Well, I think some of the pace has gone out of the front, hasn't it? Just a little bit after Bostock's attack. Ben Bright just creeping away now, forcing Bostock to chase. Over the last lap or so, Tom Portsmouth, even though he looked in difficulty, has done the least. But they're definitely slowing up, and Edwards might find that he gets back into it. Fascinating race, playing out to its finale here. Tom Portsmouth just creeps off the front, and Bostock watches that red jersey, and he opens up a gap now. Tom Portsmouth, this is a big and potentially quite risky move. He takes the bell, and Matt Bostock is right on his wheel. Just again, as Edwards was almost there after that lull in the action, an acceleration in the front puts him off the back again. So, the final 1,600 metres of this race. Tom Portsmouth takes that sharp left-hand turn up into the centre of Aberystwyth in first place, with Matt Bostock on his wheel, Jake Bush and Ben Bright sitting on the wheel of the big race favourite here, Matt Bostock. It's really a quartet of riders divided in two, isn't it? There are two much sort of physically more diminutive riders and two real powerhouses at the front, and Portsmouth and Bostock are those two riders driving the quartet on at the moment.
Bright must be confident that he can do something. Here he goes.
Well, they definitely eased up there, and Bright came from the last position there, and Bostock is going to have to chase this down. It's Matt Bostock's responsibility as the race favourite. They all know that. Jake Bush on his wheel. So Ben Bright waited, picked his moment, got a bit of a gap, but Bostock is shutting it down. Or he's trying to shut it down. He's still got a second or two, and we're getting ever closer to the finish line. Edwards just battling to get across again, and he might, irony of ironies, just get there in the last few hundred metres. Still got a gap, hasn't he, Ben Bright?
For Bostock, I think he's got this so under control that he just wants to lay off. He doesn't want to close the gap to Bright immediately. He wants to try and rush the gap and have the wheel to follow. And as we know, this is a long, drawn-out sprint.
And this is where it'll be decided. And from the back, Tom Portsmouth makes his move. Matt Bostock then alongside him, shutting the door on Tom Portsmouth. Jake Bush then on the wheels, as Ben Bright has been caught and passed, and Bostock opens up his sprint. Bostock then pulling for the line. Bostock is going to take this out of counter. Bostock with a victory. It's second place for Jake Bush, and a bronze medal goes to Tom Portsmouth. Ben Bright finishes in fourth place, and Jake Edwards holds on to take himself a valiant fifth. In the end, there was no doubt about that. Matt Bostock, who went into the race as the favourite, well, he could have won in so many different ways, and in the end, he won handsomely from a group of 4 riders who held off the peloton and broke the race. For Tom Portsmouth, that is the result almost of his career, a bronze medal in the National Championships. But for Matt Bostock, it is a second victory in the Crit Championships, and it comes on a day where his girlfriend, also riding for the Rafa Cycling Club, also rode to victory. Not a bad day in their household.
Can't wait to see the national jerseys that Rafa will create now.
Yeah, it'll be classy, won't it?
It will be very classy.
And here's the sprint for the minor placings behind Hollywood.
No, this is the
Oh, this is a replay, thank you. I thought that looks a lot like Tom Portsmouth.
It was a good effort from Portsmouth. He went early, he tried to get the jump because Bostock was ever so slightly boxed in on the right-hand side on the barrier, and Portsmouth identified, now's my chance here, now's my time to try and go and get the jump. But a bronze medal for Portsmouth. Oh, I'm delighted for him. Chapeau to Ben Bright in that fluorescent jersey.
Absolutely. He did exactly what he had to do, didn't he? He picked his moment, probably the only moment he could, and the moment when they had just started to play, well, they weren't playing games, but they definitely knocked off the pace. He saw that. It was an opportunistic move, and it was against the odds. But
he knew that if it comes down to a sprint, he'd probably finish in fourth place, and so what he did, tried to do something, tried to go early, get the jump.
yeah. Jake Bush with a very, very good second place as well. I think both the beaten riders on the podium will be very happy with what they've achieved. The 21-year-old from the development team of Picnic Postanel will get a silver medal on the podium imminently. It was actually Frank Longstaff who won the sprint from the bunch, not Hollywood. Hollywood, though, has come up alongside his teammate. Let's eavesdrop and see what they're saying.
We got across here. Couldn't believe it. Mate, I just did 3 laps. Like 5 hours. And there was me and one other lad. And then Henry said he did 2 laps flat out. Caught us.
He's in sparkling form, isn't he, Matt Bostock? Whichever way you cut it, Hannah, his recent series of successes, there was a reason why he was the favourite for today.
From every scenario.
Yeah.
No matter
kind of
what
the
happened.
perfect crit racer, isn't he, in that sense?
Yeah, and no matter what happened, he was looking very strong, very powerful. He never looked laboured, he never looked under pressure. There we go.
The two new national champs, Meg Barker and Matt Bostock, an item in their own right, and now the proud owners of two distinctive national champions jerseys that are going to take away from Aberystwyth. And there is Ollie Wood's partner as well. Oh no, it's not. I completely misidentified Alice there. I thought it might be Alice. Apologies, Alice, if you're watching. Warm applause for a knowledgeable crowd here who've seen plenty of good bike racing down the years in Aberystwyth. A podium that Matt Bostock is already familiar with, but he's going to step up onto the top step for the second time in his career. Well, they'll just towel down and they'll be on the podium imminently. Let's have a look back at how this race was won. It was Matt Bostock who was one of the first to really animate the race with Tom Armstrong. They were joined by a duo, including last year's winner Cam Mason and Matt Bostock's teammate Ollie Wood. That looked like it might be the move that might go all the way to the finish, but it wasn't to be. They were caught. Jake Bush then was the prime instigator of eventually the group that did go to the line. Matt Bostock following. Henry Hobbs gambling that he didn't have to do any riding, that this would come back. A gamble that didn't in the end pay off. Alec Briggs doing a bit of work on the front and off that pace. Then that was the moment that Ben Bright and Tom Portsmouth countered to make it 4 riders off the front, and that was the final selection. There was a valiant effort from Jake Edwards of the Zappi team. There he is to get across. He was locked at a deficit of around about 7, 8, 9 seconds. Got a little bit closer and then got distanced again when the accelerations came. Matt Bostock tried at times to get rid of his companions at the front of the race, but for the most part these 4 combined really well. Bostock doing an awful lot of work, Tom Portsmouth looking very fresh. And Portsmouth launching as they took the bell. Brought back by Matt Bostock. Then there was a little bit of a lull in the action. Ben Bright chose that moment to try and attack and go long, forcing Bostock once again to ride on the front, but it was a controlled bit of riding from Matt Bostock, who didn't panic and backed himself and then delivered an emphatic sprint, winning by a comfortable margin ahead of Jake Bush in second place and Tom Portsmouth in third. That was the story of the race. There's your top 10 again. Matt Bostock ahead of Jake Bush, Tom Portsmouth in third place, Ben Bright, as we've just seen, in fourth, with Jake Edwards in fifth. Frank Longstaff, unseen by the cameras, but he finished in sixth place, the fastest rider from the bunch. Callum Laborde on his wheel. Henry Hobbs then, a top 10 for him in the end. Alistair Gardner, one of 2 brothers from a French club team, in ninth place, and Lewis Askey's brother Ben Lewis Haskey, of course, a former winner of the Crit Championships, but Ben picking up a top 10 here in Aberystwyth.
Beautiful lighting.
Isn't it?
Stunning.
That's just a grand old seafront, isn't it? I've stayed in a few of those hotels down the years, by the way, and they're nice. You always want to get a room with a sea view, because Aberystwyth also faces west, doesn't it? So you get the sunset. Still hot, isn't it? Despite the fact it's 9:15 in the evening. Healthy crowd gathering outside the podium. Don't forget, we'll be back on this channel in a day's time. Sunday morning, pretty early start for the women's road race. And then we'll be showing both races in their entirety. First the women's elite road race, and then the men's later on in the afternoon.
Oh, big fan.
Oh yeah?
Dogs at bike races.
on Leeds.
Finally.
On Leeds.
It's only taken us 2 races. Ah.
You've got a dog, haven't you, Anna?
I have got 2 whippets.
There we go.
Yeah. The only time you can walk a dog or take a dog outside at this time of night, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're on the big screen now.
Your attention, please.
Here we go,
for the
then.
medal ceremony.
Carl
of the
is about to
2026
usher
Lloyds
the
Open Circuit Race National
riders onto the podium.
Championships.
Tom Portsmouth, as I don't think it's wrong to say this is one of the real career highlights for a rider who plugs away, loves the sport, and has moved to France to race as an amateur to try and reboot his career. This will do him no harm whatsoever.
Now, third place, representing Guidon Charlatois, Thomas Portman.
And for his club team as well, this will be a notable achievement.
A huge
That
achievement.
they have a British rider who's come to national championships and come back with a medal.
And it takes a lot when you base yourself over in France. It takes a lot to come back over, come to the national championships. What a worthwhile journey he's made, and a well-deserved bronze medal. Good ride from Jacob Bush.
He's only 21 years of age. This is, though, his 3rd year already with the Picnic Postonel development team.
Circuit Race National Champion.
21-year-old from Peterborough.
Rafa Cycling Club, Matt Bostock.
But Matt Bostock, it's a hard thing to do, to come to a race where you are the out-and-out favourite and deliver such a confident and emphatic performance. But it's exactly what he did. The Manx rider, 28 years of age these days. The fiancé of Meg Barker. And as a family then, or a family to be, they are, at least in 2026, absolutely sewing up these national championships in the circuit race.
Golden household.
Isn't it? Reminiscent of the Kenny household. And they get their rather puzzling little sheeps.
The bottle of Nightingale sparkling wine. Please congratulate your national championship medalist.
So let the champagne flow then. Matt Bostock wins the national championships in the circuit race ahead of Jake Bush from the Picnic Postonel development team, Tom Portsmouth.
Time for Matt to uncork the sparkling stuff.
Now then, Meg did a pretty good job of this. No messing around from Matt.
The celebration.
I took everybody by surprise.
Bostock, your new Lloyds National Champion.
Big grid. Lovely evening of racing here in Aberystwyth. And don't forget, this is the finish line as well of both the women's and the men's road races on Sunday.
Great performance, well deserved from Bostock.
All right, Hope you enjoyed our coverage of the crit races. We'll see you again on Sunday for the elite road races, also finishing in Aberystwyth. But for now, from Hannah and me, it's bye-bye.
Podium in a few minutes. If you stay with us, folks. Just a reminder, of course, back here in race action on Sunday for the National Road Championships. Women in the morning, the men in the afternoon.